Hello everybody, welcome back to episode 21 now I think of Edgewater, Saskatchewan. Very bright and early start. Well, I say bright, it's definitely not bright. Early start today though. We have got quite a bit to be getting on with. Just fixed myself up a little coffee, so we're going to head straight on out. So today we need to get on with the grass. And we need to do it pretty quickly because in the very top corner, in the weather prediction, there is snow forecast. Now, I've already had a quick look. We don't have a lot of time. So at 11 AM, it is going to start snowing. And from experience, when it starts snowing, it doesn't stop snowing. Certainly for a couple of months. In fact, looking at the bottom there, looks like it's going to be February before it even stops. So, yeah. Harvesting grass in the snow is not easy. It's a bit of a nightmare. So we need to get on with this. Now, what I want everyone to do is pretend there isn't already a load of grass down on the ground, which hopefully is still there. No, I can't see it too well to be honest, but yeah, there is still grass there. Look. We're just going to have to pretend that isn't already there, and today we're going to do the cut like normal. Get it all rowed up and then get it collected and put into the silo, because we've only really got 24 hours to get it fermented, ready to sell it tomorrow at its best price. So we can't hang around with this. We're going to have to get straight onto it, and we're going to have to do it whilst it is still dark. But you know, it flexes up a little bit. It's quite nice to play in the dark once in a while. Now I'm just reminding myself I haven't recorded for a day or two. Ran out of water, so it didn't generate us any more lettuce. But yeah, I haven't recorded for a day or two. I've had quite a busy last few days. Apologies if you've been waiting or watching out for the roleplay. Obviously, I didn't release one. My main kind of reasoning for doing that, or for not doing that, is I've been working on another map. Not because I'm changing the map, but I just think, as I did with the initial series of the roleplay, it is quite nice to use slightly different maps, and you can do that. You can bring different maps in quite easily when you're doing a roleplay. So I've just been creating, I won't go into too much detail, but I've just been creating a little area, like a really big garden centre kind of thing, just to go along with the story. But it has required quite a bit of editing on a completely different map to make it look like how I want it to look. So I hadn't quite finished that, and I hadn't quite had the time to finish that, therefore it's held me back on doing the recording. So apologies if you've been waiting for it. What I'll probably do is try and double up maybe on the next episode. So assuming I have time to finish doing that editing and doing some decent recording, maybe I'll do 2 episodes over the weekend, or I'll just do one kind of extra long episode, maybe go for an hour long, just to try and continue the story and not lose the momentum. So yeah, I will try and get back to that. Quite excited about the story actually. I've got lots of plans and new kind of plots and storylines to go with, so hopefully it's only going to get better, and the channel's only going to get more popular. But we'll see how it goes. Right, I'm just going to get straight on with this while I'm talking, because we literally cannot hang around. So right at the end of the last episode we placed that. Got some kind of weird things going on with some of the trees, which I need to fix. I need to fix as soon as we have a little bit of money spare. It's just really raising the ground so we don't have floating trees, I think. So that shouldn't take too much money to sort. We also loaded up the lettuce there, so that's pretty much ready to go. I think the price for lettuce is probably alright now actually, to be honest with you. So that may be something that we do today, or in this game month at least, just sell that as well. I haven't looked in the shop yet, so we will have a quick peek in the shop. I'm still kind of being really hopeful that there's going to be some kind of decent sized trailer for the truck, or for the semi. So we'll have a look in a moment, but I won't rush into that because we don't have the money yet anyway. I didn't actually notice though until we were just passing, but it has actually produced a couple of pallets of maple syrup there already, which I don't know, that's incredibly quickly I think. So ideal, it's not a bad thing. It's another little way of getting some income today maybe. Since placing the little kind of market stall for the maple syrup. I don't actually know if I've looked to see what it's kind of worth, so I'll probably have to check that out at some point. But it looks like the daylight is starting to come out now, so I am just going to, I don't know, I don't like to start an episode and jump straight into a time lapse, but I think maybe I'll just time lapse the rest of this, maybe get on with the mowing. Potentially in the meantime I might think of some more things I need to talk about, and if I do, then I'll jump it back into normal time. But for a minute, I shall see you shortly. Okay, well, I've jumped back out of a time lapse much sooner than I thought I would need to, actually. But as per usual, I did not check how much fuel we had, and yeah, it runs out pretty quickly. So that is not ideal. Now, I'm not going to carry one down. I'm not going to carry it down because I mean, you wouldn't carry a barrel with probably, I don't know, 200 litres of fuel in it. It's just never going to happen, is it? So I won't do that. We'll use the pickup for what the pickup is for. Albeit, I shouldn't be able to just lift this into the back. But I did it. So yeah, let's just go refuel the tractor. What I'll probably do is I'll just finish off these kind of edge bits here, the round bits, and then probably set a worker to finish it while I go around and do the rowing. Look at it, by the way. Look at how much grass is on the ground. It's just absolutely insane. So yeah, this is a lot. Now I get it, I probably haven't quite been realistic because we never actually got around to doing the initial pickup the first time around. But there was reasons for that. I guess it's happened the way it's happened. I guess realistically you could say I shouldn't really use this extra cut of grass, but hey, it's fine. It is a kind of survival type series anyway, so now let's just fill up this tractor. There wasn't much fuel in that anyway, so we may need to get some more, but that's good for now. Let's pull this out of the way. You can see how deep the grass is just by how far the wheels actually go down inside of it. Look, this is a lot of grass. This is a really large amount. Large amount of grass means even larger amount of money, which is good. I'm happy with that. Right, let's get this started back up, and we'll go for it again. So probably jump it straight back into a time lapse again. If I can think of something to talk about, something interesting, then I will jump back out and do a bit of talking. But to be honest, I very rarely find anything interesting to talk about, so I'll probably see you when it's all done. Okay, we'll leave the worker to it. He's not got very much to do at all. I tell you what, that mower, that is a really, really good attachment. It's really good. It's really, really wide. So these kind of jobs don't take long at all. Right, so I've jumped back out because I will do a bit of chatting as we start doing the rowing. So I just want to say, I guess, thanks very much for all the comments as per usual. Loads and loads of knowledge. And there's a few little pointers. So one thing I didn't really think of is the Mac potentially has got the rear hitch for the trailer. I did look at it and it doesn't look like it has. I looked at it when we first bought it, but doesn't mean it doesn't have one. It just didn't look like it had one. So that potentially is an option, because obviously realistically I don't want to be towing it with the truck. It would only be towing the trailer when it's full with something which would be kind of powerful enough to actually tow it. And the Mac would be, and that would obviously do kind of 60-70 miles per hour over these kind of doing 16 or 20 or whatever it is. So that is a good option. That is definitely something we need to consider. Yeah, for definite. So actually, you know, I've not even drove the Mac back from the store. I did that purposely because I was kind of hoping a trailer would come up in the meantime, but that potentially is something we do need to look at doing. Now I'm just going to drop off the front attachment, pop that into the shed here, just to do this job. So this tractor has more than enough power to do the raking or the wind rowing. So we're going to get on with that whilst that worker, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the top corner it says he's done, if it hasn't already, to be honest, because it was literally probably 2, maybe 3 lengths of the field. So he probably is done. Now this again, this doesn't take very long at all. So this should be a relatively quick job. Now we are already at 9 o'clock, so we're on a bit of a tight schedule here, because we've only actually got until 11 to get this job done. I'm not going to slow the time down anymore, because it kind of takes away the challenge. It takes away a little bit of the rush, really. Any lower than that, you know, I've essentially got 2 hours to do the job. I don't really want the episode to be 2 hours long. I think that would be a bit boring. So we'll keep it at ×3, keep a bit of a rush on. And I wonder how much we're going to get from all of this, because it's essentially, it is 2 cuts. We got 130,000 from the first cut, so this really should be double that again. I mean, it's certainly going to change the gameplay. I think what it's going to allow me to do is get another field, probably with the correct type of crop in it, and even a cheap harvester. Maybe that's the next priority. I'm not too sure. It would certainly kind of give us a lot more things to do. I've mentioned it a few times, but I really now want to get to a point where I can get people in to help. Just keeps the game a bit more alive for me as well, really. I guess it's quite fun. It's like playing a different game altogether when you're playing it with some good people who want to have a bit of a laugh whilst doing it. So yeah, I do want to get into doing that as quick as I can. I tell you what though, you can tell this is a lot of grass just by the size of these rows. So you know, this is a couple of cuts, and we've fertilised them properly. We've got pretty much the maximum yield out of it, I think, apart from the fact that we didn't roll it, and potentially the soil type itself may not be perfect, but we've pretty much got the absolute best we can get. Now, what is that worker doing? This is one of those moments where I'm just going to jump over, because I've already cut that, mate. Why are you cutting it again? Why are you cutting it again? Right, just send him on his way a minute. Just chop that little funky looking bit, and then hopefully he can do this in one pass. I've probably just paid him about 40 quid to cut the grass I've already cut. Goodness sake. Right, there we go. It's certainly starting to get a bit brighter now though, isn't it? Definitely. So yeah, I don't know. I don't pre-plan these episodes or pre-organise these episodes. I just kind of go with the flow. So we'll have to see how much money we make and then try and figure out what we want to do. But it would be great to look at a harvester. It would be great to look at a field which is going to be a crop field. I don't think I want to change this away from grass, to be honest, not for a minute or two. This just seems to be a really good kind of top-up income. But, you know, I'm open to suggestions. Maybe it is worth turning this into a crop field. That would, well, I say, it would potentially require us to plough it all up. Realistically, it probably would, but also at the same time, the seeder that we have is a direct drill, so actually we wouldn't need to be doing any ploughing at all. Now, why is he still going? Okay, let's just move him out of the way a minute. It's getting a bit silly now. Getting a bit silly. Does the if anyone's used it, the maple syrup, does that kind of random flat grass texture, which doesn't look very good, does that grow? Does that do anything? Because I don't like that. If I was to texture it myself, maybe put some grass down, a few random bushes, will it decide to completely wipe it out the next day? I'm curious to know if anyone knows. Right, we're just going to leave that there. Yeah, I don't like the fact that it's just a complete flat texture. It doesn't look very realistic, so I'm going to have to do something about it, but I don't want to spend the money if the next day it just kind of resets itself again back to that kind of weird flat surface. So yeah, if anyone's used it, and I know people have used it because that's where the suggestion came from for me to actually get it, so let me know if you've kind of done it before. I'm pretty sure when I watched it in Daggerwin's, in his survival challenge he did, it had like a grass texture that was automatic, so I don't quite know why mine isn't showing. Maybe it's because I free placed it? I don't know. So another reason why I've struggled, I guess, to find the time to play the game, to do the recording, to then do the editing, is because it's half term. I do have 3 children. Trying to get recording done whilst they're kind of around is difficult, mainly because the kind of background noise, they ain't quiet. They're certainly not quiet kids, so the amount of editing I would have to do to try and get rid of their background noise, it just wouldn't be worth it. And then, you know, the second main reason is naturally you should probably spend time with your kids during half term rather than playing Farming Simulator every day. So when I'm off work, I do have to spend time with them. To be honest, don't tell them, but I'd probably rather play Farming Simulator most of the time. But there we go, I can't admit to stuff like that. Okay, so pretty much there with the rowing. again, that didn't take very long. I think I probably just popped it into a time lapse ever so quickly, but it probably wasn't a very long time lapse. But I mean, look at the size of these rows. Honestly, this is like borderline one of those unrealistic series that people do, to be honest with you. It's just an insane amount of grass, but this is going to be amazing. Oh, look over there. I think I mentioned it before actually, but when you get into the winter months, that outdoor garden kind of automatically puts a roof on it. So I know we're stuck for time, but I'm just going to jump this little small river and have a look. Doesn't that look cool? I do really like this mod. Probably shouldn't let the heat out though. But I do really like this mod. It is really good. Now I'm not going to get into it too much. We've got a variation of stuff there and we can feed these guys, but for a minute I'm not. I'll get distracted and then before I know it, it'll be snowing. And I need to get this picked up. Right, I'm going to be lazy. I'm going to just start leaving some stuff around, but only because I don't want to run out of time. That's the only reason why. So, let's just make sure it's not in our way. And we'll reverse this over there. And then we'll get straight into the forage wagon and just get on with doing this as quickly as we can. That can probably stay there for a minute, so that's fine. We're not going to generate any more lettuce anyway now, not for a minute or two, because there's no water in there. So, right, we'll connect this up. This may take a little while, because there's going to be a lot of to in and from in, but I'll do the first couple of loads before I head into a time lapse, because I'm just curious to see just how much this is going to pick up. So, I mean, to be honest with you, it's doing alright because we're doing one of the smaller bits here in a smaller field, and already we're at over 5,000 litres just for that little bit. So this is, I think this is going to be a lot. I do think this is going to be quite a bit. This isn't even touching the amount of grass that we've got in the main field. This is not even close. So I think we are now pretty much full already. Yeah, literally just like that. Just like that. So we're probably going to get 30,000 just out of that small field. That is impressive. That is very impressive. At this rate, I need to buy a bigger forage wagon. It's typical actually, I noticed in the mod hub, I normally just pop on and just look at the kind of recently released mods. And there is finally, after all of these months of the game being out and the huge amount of mods, there is finally a cheap forage wagon. And it is a crossplay compatible one as well actually, but finally after all of that time. Okay, so same again, I'm not going to jump to a time lapse yet. I'll probably just see how much we actually make out of this one little field, because potentially this could be the last harvest of this field, because the majority of it, well not the majority of it, but certainly around there to the left, following the outer edge of the field, that is going to be a track which is going to go up past the front of the maple syrup area there. But it needs to be a track wide enough and suitable enough for realistically a Mack with quite a big trailer to drive past. So we are going to lose a chunk of the field there. And then also when I kind of get into it and I get into the landscaping zone, I'll probably end up using this area as like a little, maybe like a long shed to store the big trailers that we're going to be buying. Maybe a shed to store the actual Mack. Don't know exactly where, but I don't think this field is going to stay here. I think this will kind of turn into an extended part of the yard, I guess. By the way, I didn't even finish this grass field. I've still got, you know, probably a couple of thousand litres there. And we've got a full load again. So far, over 32,000 litres just from this field. Plus a little bit more to go. It is impressive. It's a shame that this is probably going to be going, but we've got to move on and we've got to move up. And it's not going to be about grass forever. Definitely not. Okay, so just shy of 2,000 there. In fact, there was a bit over there I missed, so let's pick that up. It's probably another 2,000. I reckon this will just about round it up. Yeah, give or take. So, pretty much just over 34,000 litres just from that little field. That is really impressive. I can't even begin to imagine how much we're going to get out of this one. So, this bit now, I'm going to chuck it into a time lapse. Because I would like to try and keep the time right for the episode, but also we've got to do the kind of chores, the farm chores. We've got pigs to feed, probably more pigs than what we had last time. In fact, I'm pretty sure we were due a couple of ones to breed there, so they're going to be eating more food. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to get on with, rather than just collecting grass. So I'll time lapse it and I'll see you in a mo. Okay, I think this will be the last load. That took me a lot longer to do than what the time lapse probably made out. Man, that took a long time. That was a lot of trips back as well. I wasn't counting, I wasn't keeping count, but I was going backwards and forwards to that silo a lot. So it'd be interesting to see what that figure is in a minute. I think it's going to be pretty high though. Now, we've also timed it quite well, so it's not quite 11 o'clock in the morning in game time, but it has already started snowing, as per usual, as per typical Canadian weather. So we have timed that pretty well. You can get away with doing it a bit while it is snowing. As long as the snow's not built up on the ground, it doesn't really seem to make much difference. But I'm just going to get this a little bit here, because that's been there a little while and that's been annoying me. So we'll pick that up, make it look a bit clearer. Yeah, that felt like a lot. Really did. So we'll have a look now. Now you might notice in the time lapse, I assume I probably left it in, but in between the unloading, I kept jumping into the other tractor and slowly kind of filling up that greenhouse, just so at least it's producing. You never know, might get one more pallet out of it before we look to sell that lettuce. Now we do need to do something this time around, because we're on £77. Now when we ended this episode, skip to the next game month, that's going to put us minus by probably £100, maybe even coming up to £200. So I don't want to be doing that. So we're going to have to do something. Maybe we just get rid of some maple syrup. Maybe just do one pallet at a time on each of these ones. But I think that is job well done. This field has earned us so much money. How much did we get? In fact, let's load it on the menu. I did jump in and activate it because I forgot to do that, which was not very good. So we have got 137,000 already fermented, but there's another 232 in the silo currently fermenting. Now, I don't know if all of that would have fermented in time. Probably not, to be honest. But that was such a large amount. So, yeah, 360-ish, maybe a bit more. 360,000 litres of silage we're going to have. So that's worth 50% of that. So really, really good. 175, 180,000 ish. Wow. That is incredible. That changes a lot, but it doesn't change too much. Because although that sounds like a lot of money, that's only really got to get a half decent harvester. And maybe a new field. It's not enough money to get the swather. Probably not enough money to get the pickup either. So, although that sounds like a lot of money, that really isn't a lot of money. I mean, there's a heck of a lot more to get on with to kind of get ourselves into a strong position, I guess. So, yeah, I am looking forward to that though. It's a lot more money than what we're used to. Now, we'll just end the episode with the usual kind of chores. So what have we got in there now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 little piggies. That's really good. And let's just have a little check where we're at. So he's nearly an adult. These ones must have just given birth because the reproduction is on 0. Or do they get to a certain point where they don't reproduce anymore? So again, I'm still very much learning these pigs. So we'll keep an eye on these two to see if they reproduce. Is there a limit? Do they only give birth 3 times or 4 times and then they start to deteriorate? Maybe. Currently worth £741 though, and that's the important bit. So that one's going to give birth again as well, so that'll be our 10th little piggy. These ones are still going through puberty, so they're the 2 brand new ones. 14 months old. So we need to monitor them. As they get older, does the price still go up? Do they still reproduce? We'll be able to find out at the beginning of the next episode, I guess, when we skip through the day. Okay, so what we will do is give them a little bit more food. They're doing pretty good though, to be fair. They're doing really well. But I do know that we want to keep the base food at around 5,000, so we might as well chuck 2,000 more litres of base food, and I'm pretty sure there was, I mean there's loads there. We do not need all of that. So we'll just pop 2 of those into the food trough. And it looks like there's a decent little bit of sunflower there as well, which is good. And apart from a little bit to keep in reserve, there's probably a decent bit of profit there as well, which is even better. Right, we will just allow this to unload, quickly check the pause menu, make sure it's doing its job. So yeah, good. So another pallet of that, pretty much get that to exactly where it needs to be. And then we will put the 2 extra pallets into the storage shed. So that's great, that's just the kind of reserve I want to keep. Then we'll have a look at the sunflower, see how much we need, maybe put one of those in and keep one of those in the shed. And then we can probably set it growing, something that's just going to make us a bit more money again. Because for a minute, we don't need much more from that, not for the pigs anyway. Now I have been looking, again I mention it, that as I get further into recording I remember more things, and I get so many comments which are really helpful. It's hard to remember every single one. But there is a greenhouse which grows grain. So potentially, I haven't downloaded it yet actually, but potentially that could solve our problem. But what I don't want to do is go with too many greenhouses. We were actually discussing it with when I got the comment, and I'm really sorry that in the heat of the moment it's difficult to remember everyone's names, but we speak all the time and I can't remember exactly who it was, but we were talking about, you know, well, I don't really want to have too many greenhouses because I don't want it to turn into a series where you literally just kind of grow stuff in the greenhouse. So I'm not too sure what to do with that. Now the amount of money that we're going to make is probably enough to get a ready planted field and a harvester where we can harvest our own grain. So that's probably what I'm going to prefer to do. I'm just going to jump back to the menu, see where we are at. So base food is perfect. Protein should be around 2,000. So maybe I'll try and get half of another one of these pallets over the trigger, and then we are literally going to store the rest of it inside our shed. We'll do that in a minute now. We've already got a nice bit of storage of sugar beet there, so that is pretty much it. And then maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll just set it to grow soybeans or something, just as a little bit of a money maker. We'll have a quick look at the menu and see when their best times to actually sell, because that will influence it. It'd be nice if we've got a little bit more profit income maybe midway through the year, rather than kind of waiting for January every time. Now this time around as well, just to stick with the realistic thing, you know, I've not done it in the last 2 seasons, but I feel it's probably time to get a plough, get a snow plough, probably for the truck, because I'm happy with the truck doing that. So, you know, we're going to play through the snow, we don't skip the days, so let's get a plough to clean up the yard so we can get on and do our work. So once we get this bit of money, we do need to buy that. That's a priority actually. Okay, so didn't do a very good job of picking that up, but we need about half of this to go into the pigs. Okay, not too bad. It's a bit slow getting into reverse, this tractor, but not too bad. Pretty much half. Can't really go wrong. So we'll just, again, we'll pop that there. I'll flick into the other view because you just cannot see anything. Brilliant. And again, just drop the corn in out of the snow, and then that is job well done. One thing I haven't done is check the shop, so I do need to do that. See if there is anything in the shop. It would be amazing if there was a trailer. I really want all of this silage to be the Mac's first job. Oh, a little bit too far then. And again. And while we're here, let's leave that in there anyway. Okay, job well done. Let's check out what they're like now. So, oh, okay, we could have got a little bit more in of the sunflower actually, but that's alright. So, 1,952, pretty much dead on where it needs to be. Root crops, pretty much dead on. Base food, pretty much dead on. So, it's the grain. The grain is a problem. You're about 1,000 short, which would actually top the full capacity right up to 10,000. So, to be honest, what we've just done there, it's probably future-proof these pigs for the next 3 or 4 months. So we've got, 3 or 4 months potentially to get a harvester, get a field with some grain in it, and get these guys a little bit more food. But honestly, so much profit in these, definitely. I actually really enjoy it. So, pigs are good. Greenhouse is making us loads of cash. Big job done there, and hopefully this silo is going to ferment that relatively quickly. Still got a lot to do though, still got quite a bit to do, but we will be skipping through a month. Now I think I ran this over actually in the time lapse, so that's no good, is it? Let me just tidy up after myself. We'll pop it down there. Brilliant. Wow, to be honest, I think just popping one of those maple syrup pallets into the sell point now, we will be pretty much set to end the episode and get some sleep, I guess. Starting to get a bit of cold out anyway in this weather, so just going to check it out on camera because I haven't actually looked, I don't think, at maple syrup. No way. See how much it sells for at full price, 4,434. At the minute, it sells at 4,000. Wow, that's really good. And this is only its kind of midway sell point as well. Now, I do know that each pallet, I don't think they're 1,000. I think they're like 300 litres or something quite small. Not small enough to be picked up though, that's a shame. So, how much are those? 288 litres. So, yeah, so they're a lot smaller than what you would assume actually. But still, that's decent money. So, we'll probably take one of them over with the forklift, which I'll do off camera in a second, just to get through the night, and then the next few pallets we sell, the next bit of profit we make, we'll probably just invest on making this area look a little bit better. Stopping this shed from flying would be a good start, and those trees. So that's it for now. I think the episode, it's quite a bit of time lapse in. Potentially it's still a decent length episode. Next time, when I get straight onto the next lot of recording, will be January. We will be looking at selling all the silage, selling the lettuce, spending some money potentially. I want to get this Mac into action, so we will, no matter what, be doing something with that Mac. That is my my absolute goal. Doesn't that look great so far? Compared to just an empty field, now look at it. It's really coming along. It's looking pretty good now, I think. So thanks again, and until the next one, cheers and gone.